This is my SQL workbench that I use to write the queries, and the file that I dumped is VUHospital.sql. So upon importing the script into Workbench, you realize that there are other comments that were inserted that weren't in the initial script. They were inserted by Workbench after dumping. So here the VUHospital.sql is a file that has this script. Line 1, we see that we are creating the database if it does not exist, and the database name is VUHospital. On the left, under schemas, we see that VUHospital is active because of line 2, where we use VUHospital as our active schema. So VUHospital has 19 tables, as we see here. And on line 1, where we see a /*, this is a multi-line comment. Then the schema VUHospital on the left, extreme left here, under schemas, we see that VUHospital is bold because of line 2, where we used it as our active database. So from line 3 to 7, they are single line comments, and those don't take shape, they don't execute or perform anything. Same as line 9 to 18, where we see multiple line comments. These were added when I dumped the SQL file. Line 20 to 22 are comments. Line 24, we are dropping the table if it exists. Epidemiological data is the table that we are dropping if it exists. If it doesn't, then this doesn't execute because there is no table to drop. Then 25, 26 are comments, multi-line comments. They don't execute or perform anything. Line 27, we are creating the table if we are creating the table. So that table has these columns, and data ID is an integer, which is the data type, and not null is a constraint that tells us that this column cannot have empty or null values. So when we come to line 36, we see that data ID is a primary key, and one of the characteristics of primary keys is that they are always unique and they cannot be null. Unique meaning they shouldn't exist again. There is no repetition or duplication. So line 37, 38, we see that we have a key. What does key mean? Key, we are creating indices. So location ID is the name of the index, and location ID in the parenthesis is the column, or is the column from which the index is being created. Same happens to line 38. We are creating an index called added by, and it indexes column added by. This column here is what is being indexed. So, and we realize that on line 35, it's the what? It's the column. So where we see constraints, epidemiological data IBFK1 is the name of the constraint. And in this table where we see location ID line 29 is a foreign key that references the geographical location, that references the table geographical location. And in geographical location, we have a column called location ID. In geographical location table, location ID is a primary key, but in this case, under the epidemiological data table, location ID is a primary key. A foreign key is literally a primary key of another table inside a different inside the existing table. So what do I mean there? For example, on line 39, we see that the foreign key location ID is here on line 29. Line 29 shows that location ID basing on line 39, that location ID is a foreign key, but location ID in the table of geographical location, it is a primary key. So it's literally a primary key of another table inside another table. So here we see that we also, line 40, we have constraint with this name, and foreign key column is added by. This is a foreign key and references the user table, but still the user ID column in the user table. So here we see that on line 41 the default engine is InnoDB, and the character set is UTF-8MB4, and correlate UTF-8MB4 underscore 0900 underscore AI underscore CI. So this character set and the correlation are used because they facilitate foreign keys and row level locking. So this other side we see that these are comments on 44 to 46. Then we are creating the table. We are dropping the table just like I've explained with the others. We are dropping the table if it exists and the table is facility type. The same goes on and on and on. We are creating the table again here. Here we dropped it if it exists. If it doesn't, this line does not execute. We have our primary key. As facility ID, it shouldn't be null and data type is integer. This side we have no foreign key, so we swap down to geographical location. Location ID is our primary key as seen on line 99, and we have no foreign key. So health facility table is dropped if it exists. If it doesn't, line does not execute. So it creates the table again. It creates the table here since it does not exist. Facility ID is not null because it is a primary key and data type is integer. It creates two keys here, indices, which help in query performance when we are using where clause and other clauses like order by, where we sort data in ascending or descending order. We have a constraint name here and two foreign keys here that exist in this table, but in other tables like geographical location and facility type, these exist as primary keys. So the same goes on and on and on with the other tables until we hit rock bottom. So here we create the table visit record, and visit ID is a primary key. Primary keys still shouldn't be null and data type is integer. There are two keys on line 601 and 602. The key name is patient ID, which is an index, and indexes the column patient ID. Same happens to line 609. Then we create a constraint called visit record IBFK underscore 1, and the patient ID is a foreign key in this table and references the patient data table where we have the same column as a primary key. Same happens to line 605, and line 609 tells us that data has been dumped for that particular table we've just explained. Then line 626 states the date and time from which the file was dumped, and these other lines from line 613 to line 624 are multiple line comments. So the tables have been created on the extreme left under the tab of schemas. These are the tables that we